recording now.
Me too. I'm also recording.
Am I loud enough for myself? Last time I wasn't loud enough and it was weird. Okay, I'm going to get real close. Hello, Wingers.
Hi, guys.
How is everyone today?
Hopefully good.
Great. Good talk. My name's Andrea. This is my friend Sallie.
Hi.
And you're listening to Wingin It, the West Wing podcast. And today we're going to talk about season 2 episode. What episode is this? 12?
12?
I think it's 12-ish.
It's something like that.
We're going to talk about the drop-in. Dun, dun,
Yay.
dun. Hooray. I was kind of wondering how many people we would alienate if we played Snoop Dogg's Drop It Like It's Hot under this. Can we find out? Like, how versatile are our listeners? Let's find out, shall we? Okay, cool. How did you feel about this episode, Sallie?
I love this episode. I love all the episodes. I really did. I think that season 2 just does so. I like season 2. We were talking about this a second ago, but I just think they're just keep being good episodes. Like every time we sit down to watch, or I sit down to watch, I'm just not surprised because it's not like I don't expect them to be good. I expect every episode to be good. But we've just had a sort of a marathon of really good ones, in my opinion.
Yeah, we've had a pretty lucky streak, I would say.
Yeah, I just think season 2, they really hit their stride, and it's just good. That's all I can say.
Now, I'll be honest. I don't really like the first season episode, Lord John Marbury, very much. It's not my favorite. So when I saw in the beginning of this one that he was in it, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this one, because I didn't remember what the drop-in was. I thought it was like somebody dropping by, and then once we got into it, I remembered what was going on.
Yeah.
So, but actually, when I watched it, it was better than I thought. It's not my favorite by any means, but it was like I said, much better than I thought. So
yes, I would totally agree with that. I think we talked about this when we actually watched the first Lord John Marbury episode, but I did not thoroughly enjoy the character. I think in his introduction episode, he's just very over the top. Not the actor, the character is very over the top. Yes. And I think in this episode, he's just toned down a little bit. He's still eccentric and he's still like a little off his rocker, but he's more believable. And I enjoyed the character much better.
Yeah. Should we make everybody sad now? Or should we sing first?
I mean, we should.
Let's move.
Ooh,
I don't know how to handle this. It's like telling people that Santa Claus isn't real, which he is.
Let's just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. I'm sure people have heard by the time this comes out.
By the time this comes out. But in real time, it's ironic. But guys, within the past 12 hours, Roger Rees, who played Lord John Marbury, he died.
Yeah.
So sad.
It's very sad.
I know.
And it is very ironic that we were planning on recording this today.
Yeah.
And he passed away. That's a little, because he's only in a few episodes, so what are the odds, really?
Yeah, it's very strange.
But I thought it worked out well. We got to watch his performance, and we're going to talk about it, and
celebrate him.
Yeah, it's a good way to honor it, so his contribution to our favorite show.
Yes, indeed. Actually, I looked up a little bit about him. He was a Welsh actor. Those Welsh people, man, they just go under the radar. You think they're British, and then all of a sudden you're like, dang, you've pulled a fast one on us because you're so good at dialects. He was a Welsh actor and director. He was also on Cheers. Are you a Cheers person?
I'm not, but I really mean to be. Isn't it all on Netflix?
Really?
I'm pretty sure it's all on Netflix, and it's like...
Does anybody need to be?
Oh, wait, for real? Cheers is like the golden sitcom to a lot of people.
I remember watching it when I was younger, but you know what? I should probably go back and watch it.
You should go back and watch it. I think that it's no West Wing, but I think that from what I understand it from, I've heard people that I respect a lot talk about it in a way that implies that it is like it's just like a gold standard for sitcoms that would come later. So I really do want to go back, because I watched it when I was little, and I think a lot of it was just over my head and whatever. So I really it is on my watch list to go back through and check it out.
If that becomes our next podcast, and I'm sure there are like a million podcasts about it by now because it's been out for so long. But if we did, Ted Danson is in Nashville much more than you would think he would be.
Oh,
I think he lives
perfect.
here, maybe. So maybe we could just get some guests that way.
Yeah, that sounds like a
But
great plan. Cheers.
yes. Also, Roger Reese was in Robin Hood Men in Tights, the Mel Brooks movie.
He was in Men in Tights. Who was he in Men in Tights?
He was the sheriff of Rottingham.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So great. He
Men in
won an
Tights.
Olivier Award, a Tony, and he also got an Emmy nomination. So he has been around theater and film and TV, and we're happy to give homage to him. Should we play this clip of his from this episode?
Yes, we should.
Okay, this is a scene where he's talking to, he first sees Leo after being named the British ambassador, and he says some lovely things about Margaret. So here you go.
There's someone here to see you.
Oh,
Gerald!
oh, God.
Gerald, old friend!
Good to see you, Ambassador.
It's as if the gods themselves insist that we be not long apart, you and I.
They do seem to strongly insist upon that, yes.
Your assistant Margaret is looking positively buxom.
Thank you. I'll tell her.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, well done.
Now, my question is, it doesn't buxom mean, like, well endowed? You know?
That I'm not sure about. I felt like I was missing the joke because I didn't know what it meant, and I was like, oh, was it like sort of a, not an insult, but like a
No,
sort of a jab?
No, that's what I've always understood it to be, that if you're buxom, you're kind of a voluptuous woman. It's a specifically woman thing, but maybe it's not. I'm sure somebody will know the etymology and derivation. And
Well, I
tell
just
us.
Googled it, and you are correct. It says,
That's such a weird
of a
thing
woman,
to say.
plump, especially with large breasts. Yes, that's interesting.
Yes. So there you go, Lord John Marbury just living up to his name, being a little bit cray-cray.
Yep.
Should we sing?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I think we need to.
Yep.
Da,
Da,
da, da,
Yeah.
Do you think the fact that we're never at the same time makes it better?
Yes. Absolutely.
It's like just when you think that there's one cat dying, there's two of them.
Yep. I think it adds just a little bit of, a little element of surprise. You never know when one of us is going to come in.
It's like a cat on a hot tin roof.
Yeah.
Which is exactly how we feel right now.
Exactly.
Oy vey.
So, I guess we should jump into the episode since we're a few minutes in here. Should we start with a TikTok?
Yeah, we probably should, in case people haven't watched it recently.
All right. I'll take it.
Okay. I'll
All
jump
right.
in if you need.
So
It's like double dutch.
We are. What's the right word for this? Inducting. We're bringing people to be ambassadors. I can't think of the word that like. We're making
I
them
feel like
ambassadors.
inducting.
Period. Inducting.
That's fine.
Okay. So President Bartlett's doing these ceremonies with the several different ambassadors from different countries, and that's going on. And Sam is sort of launching this other initiative, and he's very excited about it. And it has something to do with, I have it written down somewhere, but there's a specific name.
Clean air. Mm-hmm.
Clean air, is that what you said?
Yeah, clean air restoration effort.
Oh, okay.
Care.
So they're launching that in this speech that just sort of happened, and Toby is involved a little bit in a not fun way that we'll talk about. And those are really the main things.
Yeah, and then Lord John Marbury is named the British ambassador.
Yeah. Lord John Marbury is one of the ambassadors we're inducting. So,
and also Leo is really trying to get Bartlett on board with this anti-missile technology that is not really working.
Yes,
but it's kind of like Leo's pet project. He like really believes in it, and he's really trying to save face when it just doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say those are the main things that happen.
Yep, those are the main things. Did anything
Ta-da.
stick out to you as a favorite or least favorite thing?
Yeah, I don't like when our boys are fighting. I don't like it. Don't like it one bit. Sam and Toby.
Let's talk about this.
Ugh.
So, what did you think about the whole thing?
Okay, why can't Toby tell Sam about the whole re-election thing? Okay, isn't that why he said he didn't want to tell Sam, he didn't want Sam's objections and he didn't want to deal with it? Like, okay. But then, don't you think that Sam, like, don't you think he'd get on board? Like, do you really think that he would have taken it straight to Bartlett, President Bartlett?
Taken
Like,
it to
no.
Bartlett regarding, like, that he didn't want to put that in the speech? That Sam would have been like, no? Well,
yeah.
CJ knows
It's
about
Toby
it,
is
though.
his boss.
Right? And CJ doesn't know that they're running for re-election yet.
Yeah, but then I was confused because at the end, when they're talking at that bar with all the wood paneling and everything, he said that it had something to do with the last episode, where the leadership breakfast, and he made it sound like Toby was blaming him, Sam, for getting beat with the whole leadership breakfast thing. And that didn't make sense to me at all.
No, I don't think he was saying, I don't think he was blaming Sam. I think he was acting out because he got beat. Like, Toby's down because he got beat at the leadership breakfast. Then he comes back into town and Sam has launched this whole initiative and is like making the ball get rolling and all that. And Toby wasn't even talked to about it. And which I don't think was intentional on Sam's part. I think that, the president okayed it. It just sort of happened. I don't think that Sam was like trying to leave Toby out. However, I think it was very intentional. It was clearly very, not just I think, but it was clearly intentional on Toby's part to leave Sam out. And anyway, so I think he is...
Because he was trying to gain ground from
that he was sort of... His feathers were a little ruffled by the leadership breakfast. Really ruffled. And then they were ruffled more when Sam left him out of this decision unintentionally.
So many ruffles.
And I really thought it was just a petty thing that was just like getting a jab in at Sam. And maybe I'm totally misunderstanding, because I guess it could have had to do with like he didn't want Sam to know they were running for re-election, but he was going to know later that night anyway, if that's the case. Like if just adding that line is what tipped Sam off, he was going to know later that night. And like, isn't it better to tell him beforehand?
Yeah, I just thought why do you need to keep him in the dark?
Yeah. We all know I don't love everything that Toby does, but I really love Toby as a character, but this felt very underhanded to me. And maybe
I didn't understand
totally missing a storyline, and if so, people will write to us. People, go ahead, write to us. Because I want to know if I'm missing something, because it just felt very unnecessary to me, and it felt like putting Sam down just to, like, raise himself up. And Sam was so innocent in it. Like when Sam says "get away from me" to Toby, I was just like, oh man, yeah,
guys, ugh. Well, because he just left him so in the dark, and it just didn't feel warranted. It just didn't feel like right. And then Toby tells President Bartlett, "This isn't government camp. It's not important that everybody gets to play." So there goes our whole White House camp thing. But dang,
well, that was a tough line because, like, yeah, of course, yes, it's not government camp. Everybody doesn't get to play, blah, blah, blah. But it just felt petty to me. It just felt, I don't know. I didn't get it. I hope I'm missing a whole storyline. I really do hope so because I was just like, man, Toby, come on. So hopefully as soon as this comes out, someone will email me and be like, oh, no, here's this whole thing you missed.
But either way, Toby wasn't trusting Sam with knowledge that if from all angles of even if we missed something, it still felt like he should have trusted Sam to be on the inside, you know?
Yeah, there wasn't any reason to me for him to not be on the inside because he told CJ. Because then in the end, Sam was like, oh, that's funny. When Toby was telling Sam things to say, Sam was like, that's funny. That's exactly what CJ told me. So like CJ knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And, of course, she would need to because she's a press secretary. She has to spin it. But so would Sam. It's his whole thing.
Yeah.
Poor bud.
Yeah, I just didn't like it. I don't like when they fight. It's not...
It doesn't happen that often. I was about to say, like, we've seen them sort of skirmish before. Like, obviously, the staffers disagree a good bit. But this was the first time I really remember it being to this extent.
Oh, yeah. We don't see angry... We don't see angry Sam that often. And when we do, it's not usually at Toby.
No. And not this, like,
deep-seated.
Yeah, not, like, usually, like, they can get really angry at each other, but only for, like, a few seconds, and then they're fine.
No, he was seething.
Yeah.
He did the whispery, get away from me.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That was tough.
And then when Sam goes to see President Bartlett in the Oval while he's angry that this whole thing went down, and then Toby's standing in the doorway, and Charlie comes out, and he let's give props to Charlie for handling like those little nonverbal cues like a pro, like a boss, because Toby just like made a look with his eyes and basically told Charlie to pass block, and without missing a beat, Charlie's like, he's pretty slammed right now, and it's like everything about that moment was so good. Like Sam was so mad and he was going to go and fight for it, and Charlie was on point and Toby was there, and then Sam looks back and he sees Toby and it's like, oh, this is getting worse. Oy.
What is worse to me though, not worse to me, but like Toby just had that happen to him. Like Toby Toby had that moment an episode or a few ago where he was waiting to talk to the president and the president didn't want to talk to him. And so he like knows that feeling, and then he essentially pushed it onto Sam. And I was just like, it was just another kick in the face. You know, like it was just,
But I think it was well founded though. I think this one was different than that other instance you're talking about, because I think he had a good point. It's like you don't ever go into the Oval mad.
But like
unless you have a cricket bat and
you're, but unless you're
whatever
Toby,
that guy's name is.
Because who is Toby to say, like, I don't know. I feel like anybody could deliver that line except for Toby, maybe Josh.
Well, but I feel like except for an episode that's coming up, I don't know if it's this season or next, with Toby playing chess and all that in the Oval Office. But generally, Toby gets mad, but not in a way that's out of control. In a way that feels reactionary, where it felt like Sam really was just gonna react in the Oval Office, which I think is wise that Charlie passed block on that one.
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. But it killed me when another moment that killed me with Sam, the get away from me was bad, but when he turned around and the people started clapping, but nobody stood up after his speech.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, man, you know? And he could have just been at least, like, emotionally prepared for that. If he had just known, like, hey, we're going to hit him, they're not going to like it, then he wouldn't have been so, like, on cloud nine.
He worked so hard. He worked so hard on that dang thing. Like, almost the whole episode, you see him, like, coaching people and explaining it and talking about, like, rewriting it, and a good speech, you know, makes them stand up from their socks, you know, whatever. But, he just felt like the rug was pulled out from underneath him.
Oh, absolutely.
No bueno.
Absolutely. We totally forgot another storyline. CJ goes to New York to talk to Cornelius Sykes, I think is his last name, or Seitz.
Sykes, yep.
Who is a comedian. And they are going to ask him to speak, not the White House, but another, probably some sort of...
the Will Rogers dinner.
Yeah, they're going to ask him to speak at the Will Rogers dinner. I don't know who puts that on, but whoever runs that dinner is going to ask him to speak. And the White House wants him to decline.
Yeah.
And
another
this was
sticky
a pretty
situation.
rough scene. And it's another...
It was.
This episode and the next episode are just... Put these in the example column of... The West Wing just, like, hiring, like, the most, like, I don't know if sympathetic's the word, but they hire these guest actors and they write these characters that you just immediately care about and feel for. And this is just another example. I feel like I say it almost every episode, but it's so true. It's just so good. It's so well done.
It's so good. Yeah, I didn't like it because of the tension, but I thought as a scene, it was well acted. It was well written, and I liked the scene.
I agree. And I loved CJ in it because... You can so tell that she doesn't want to be there. She doesn't want to be asking this. Because it's another one of those things where, like, it's like Sam and Lori. That, like, yeah, I know,
it's just
like...
the appearance of it.
Yeah, and it's like... Or, like, the green beans. That, like, can't we just explain to the people that, like, this isn't the case? Or, like, what they think is not necessarily true or whatever? And they can't. And so, like, it's another example where we feel their frustration in those type of situations. Because you know CJ wants to be like, you know what, you're right. He did laugh at the joke. This is a stupid, like, it sucks we have to have this conversation. You've done so much for us, and now we have to do this. So,
yeah. Then Cornelius, or Corey, whatever they call him, says, it takes a special kind of arrogance to think that that's not disrespectful. Yeah. Like, basically telling him that he can't do it. And... Yeah, I mean, I guess the whole point of it was that Bartlett was put in an awkward position when he did laugh at a joke that he shouldn't have technically laughed at the first time. It was just a controversial joke. And the joke, Bartlett laughing at it is kind of like an endorsement of what he was saying, which would have alienated some sort of constituency, I think, with cops. So, yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's just the whole, like, public perception putting politics into play. Whereas in reality, if we could all just be more human and be more understanding about it, then it wouldn't be such an issue. But yeah, it was heartbreaking because he did say, like, the fact that the soundbite was he didn't laugh at the joke when he was finally able to get an audience with the president and make him laugh. He's like, CJ, I had him. Like, don't you think I can tell when I had him? And he did laugh at the joke.
Yeah.
And the next day in the papers, it says, like, the president didn't laugh. And that was, like, his big achievement. It was so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. Because it just is so... that line that you just said about, the next day my parents had to read in the paper that I'm Hollywood sleaze. It's just like, man, it's a tough situation because, and the West Wing does this a lot where they build the situations where you don't know how to, like, because you see where the White House is coming from. Like, you get that they want, especially now that we know we're looking at re-election, like, you get that they want to just, that in the White House's mind, it's easier to just avoid the conflict altogether than, like, try to do anything with it. And so you sort of see where they're coming from, but you just feel so conflicted because it's not really the right thing necessarily.
This is just the example of what happens when things need to be politically correct, but not actually correct. Yep. It's just like, it's a lose-lose situation for everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Plus, how does that guy know that the cocktail waitress's name is Felicia or Alicia, whatever it is? Well, it just felt like, how often are you coming there, dude?
I think it's where he does his show. Because that was what I understood. She was going to see him wherever he does his show. Because he said something like, I'm going on in 20 minutes or whatever. So he might be doing like a residency somewhere.
It looked like a hotel or like a train station, like a Union Station or something. I don't know. It just didn't look like any of the comedy clubs that I've been to because clearly I've been to a lot.
He could be doing like a bar. I don't know. That just was the vibe I got. Because it seemed like, because the way he said, like, do you want to come watch the show? It made it seem like, oh, it's just right upstairs.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to know what the venue was. Also, we can talk about Donna and her fondness, and apparently CJ's as well, for Lord John Marbury as a suitor.
Yeah, I don't get it.
I mean, I love the Brits, and I know you love the Brits, too.
Yeah.
I think we should tell our listeners that both Sally and I have or will be making a sojourn, I would say, over to London to see some of our favorite actors in plays. I mean, we love the Brits.
Yeah.
But,
I just don't get... I mean, I think he's charming. I like him as a character. I like him as the actor. I think that he's charming, but not in like a... Like, I don't know. They keep saying he's so dreamy. CJ says, like, my love for Lord John Marbury is real. It's not a schoolgirl crush. And I don't get it.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe it's some of those things where you have to, like, talk to him in person or something.
Compared to Danny Kincannon? Gosh, and where's that storyline? Jeez,
I think it's probably just that he's, like, charming and... Because CJ says, like, he calls me whatever. And I think it's probably just that... Yeah, that I think he's just, like... He sort of sweeps women off their feet when he talks to them.
Yeah, and Donna, of course. Like, I can totally see Donna being into it, because I feel like Donna is ready for anything that's remotely interesting. I think she's just so bored that it's like, if Yo-Yo Ma is there, she's down. If there's a British dude that's cute, she's down. Like, it's just, poor Donna is understimulated intellectually, I think.
I would love to know where the inspiration for Lord John Marbury came from, because... Some of the characters are based on real people, and I would just love to know, period. Like, I would just be interested to see, like, how did Aaron Sorkin come up with this character? Was it that he saw someone and was like, hey, I wonder what they're like in real life? Or was it just to sort of get a reaction, have someone that's the opposite of Leo and get a reaction of that, probably, maybe?
It is pretty great. The tension between he and Leo is just wonderful.
Yes, I agree, totally. I enjoy it better in this episode than I did in the last one.
Totally agree.
Because I think, I feel like in this one, he's still, like, he calls him Gerald and he, like, makes jokes, but he puts off more respect for him than he did in the last one. In the last one,
especially toward the end.
Yeah, in the last one he was eccentric and like all over the place, and he really just seemed disinterested in Leo, and like it didn't seem like a joke, I guess. And in this one, they argue and they, sort of battle, but in a more friendly and respectful way, to me, at least.
Agreed. One thing I wanted to ask is, since when is there a door leading into Josh's office? 2 doors. I don't remember there being 2 doors.
Yeah, I think that they just sort of do whatever they need to do on here. Because really, at one point, I remember Josh and CJ's offices being next door to each other. And I think we talked about that for a second, because I was like, that's not how they are. But in one episode, in one glimpse, it looked like that. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I don't know of a single other scene where that door, because Josh is relaxing against the wall in his office as part of his therapy, which I think it was great. This is probably the least that Josh has spoken in an episode, and it was kind of fun that they used him just kind of to like add a little bit of humor here and there. Like even at the end, Josh had some sort of weird suggestion about,
Not weird. He said, well, yeah, it is weird. He said, why don't we just give North Korea the $60 million in exchange for not bombing us?
Yeah. And Bartlett
hilarious.
was like, it's hard to believe you're not in the Ministry of Defense. And Josh is like, I know, I think they're missing an important voice. Like, he just had really these kind of random
That killed
things.
me, especially because they both just deadpanned that whole conversation, and it was hilarious. I liked that a lot.
Yeah. It was pretty great.
Well, one thing I liked about the Josh thing, like he said something about like, oh, they told me, I don't remember who he says told him to, his doctor told him to stand against the wall, but I like that they're referencing the fact that he needs to like relax, that we're not going to be like, oh, he has PTSD, but like, let's forget about that storyline. I also like that Lord John Marbury, when he comes in and sees Josh, he says like, oh, the prayers of millions were answered. Glad you're okay. I appreciate the fact that they are mentioning this again, because I just don't like when shows have these huge traumatic events and then it's like, okay, now we're all good. So any little mention of it, I'm like, hey, thanks. It's nice to
he may not be good at, or admit, self-proclaimed may not be good at long-form storytelling in terms of planning ahead and all of that, where we had to build in 3 weeks of symptoms of PTSD before we could have a PTSD episode. Right. But I think he can do it retroactively. So after the fact, he's like, oh yeah, that happened,
Yeah.
There are a bunch of random, like just short little notable quotables where I'm just giving into it. I'm leaning into it, Sally.
I love it.
So
do it.
I think today is a good example of that. So here, guys, enjoy this little supercut of what we will call notable quotables.
What are you looking at?
You're testing that preposterous contraption again.
It's not preposterous. It's not a contraption. And mind your own business.
In my day, we knew how to protect ourselves.
Well, in your day, you could pretty much turn back the Indians with a Daniel Boone musket, couldn't you?
Ah, sarcasm, the grumpy man's wit.
Sharpen a pencil, would you?
You know what you are? You are the Charlie Brown of missile defense. The Pentagon is Lucy.
I'm not familiar with the reference, sir.
Peanuts, Charlie Brown.
I've heard of them. I'm just not conversant in them.
Why?
I've never read the comics.
Leo, were you born at the age of 55?
I know that there's a dog.
Sweden has a 100% literacy rate, Leo. 100%. How do they do that?
Well, maybe they don't, and they also can't count.
Can I have her for a second?
Yeah.
Why do you ask him and not me?
He looked in charge.
Of where I go?
Can we please?
Did you hear the name John Marbury, British ambassador?
Yes, I did.
Lord John Marbury?
I know. It's got to be like Davy Jones himself is showing up.
Kate, don't make fun of Davy Jones, all right? He once wrote me a letter. He took that kind of time, and he still tours.
Yeah, I'm victim to my own purity of character.
Whatever.
I mean, there's so many of them today.
There are a lot of them today, and
Mrs. Landingham.
They're all funny.
She's back.
Yep, and sassy.
That's fun.
As always.
Oh, lots of sass. Even Ginger had some sass today, too. This is probably the most we've heard Ginger speak in one episode, isn't it?
Yeah, I would think so.
That was fun. I liked that. What else?
I especially like, I like and dislike, and I feel like this happens a few times, but none of them know, well, I guess President Bartlett knows what a lynx is.
Yes.
That just killed me. I was like,
funny.
Come on, guys. But I feel like that's something that...
You thought they should have known that?
Yeah. they're supposed to know
Sallie.
like physics
Not all
and
of us know
math
what
and
links.
economics, and they know like different languages and operas and blah blah blah. They have the most ridiculous amount of knowledge in this building. If we're to go by their dialogue and what Sorkin says they know, and they don't know what a lynx is, I don't buy it.
See, I feel like that's more normal. I had the opposite of, like, my thought was, of course Bartlett knows it's not some kind of possum. I think there needs to be something he doesn't know. Please, let there be any episode where he doesn't know something.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's I would love for them to not know something. We talked about this. I don't remember when we talked about it. We talked about how Sorkin always wants everyone to be the smartest man in the room, or whatever. I can't remember exactly what the phrase is. People talk about that, how every character is just almost unbelievably smart, and so that's fine. Like, I want there to be things they don't understand. I love that Bartlett doesn't like get the military. I like that. But this, of all things, I feel like I'm harping on this way more than it actually, like, bugged me. But,
chill
like,
on the harping, Sal.
I just feel like it's pretty, not common knowledge, but it could have been something else, like, more obscure that they didn't know. I don't know. Whatevs. I thought it was still funny, though. It was good comic relief.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think it's some kind of possum. It's not
Or Josh thinking it was a golf course.
Yeah, that was funny. Because I feel like
funny.
there are a lot that...
The subtitles even
links.
said them differently. Like when Toby says, "Oh, to save the links," it's spelled Lynx, and then when Josh says, "To save the links," it's spelled Links.
Mm-hmm.
So the subtitle people are new.
Fair enough.
Yep.
What are some other things I liked? I mean, there were just a couple different lines that aren't, not because of their delivery, but just because of what they were. Like the fact that when Sam and Toby are talking at the end at the bar or the lounge or whatever, you know, obviously Toby says we can't govern if we don't win. Like that's the crux of it. So, and he's freaking out about the internal polling. And he said the energy package doesn't need to be the story. It's going to be law. And I feel like so often they focus on the story. Like there's so much about the press and the way that things are spun, even more than legislating. You know what I mean? And it was interesting to me for this moment for Toby to be like, it doesn't matter that this isn't the story. It doesn't matter that the drop-in is now more important than Care, because Care's, it's going to do what it's supposed to do. So I thought it was interesting that Toby wasn't concerned with the story so much in that moment. Because he's in re-election mode, man.
I do just really love Toby, though. Like, not so much... I love the function Toby's character serves. I love how complex he is. So that, like, even when I don't like him, I, like, appreciate him, if that makes sense. I just like all of his nuances. And, I don't know,
He really cares.
Yeah.
He's the agitator. You need the agitator. You need someone who's going to be devil's advocate, but also someone who doesn't settle for the status quo and say, like, you know, the leadership breakfast is just a breakfast. It's a pancake breakfast, and that's all it is. And he says, well, why? You know, and he's like, why can't we actually have a productive dialogue? Now, granted, it blew up in his face the last episode, but at least he is reaching beyond the status quo.
Yeah,
so, yes,
I think
I agree.
For as curmudgeon as Toby is, I think he's really a big optimist. Like, I think he is almost blinded by, like, how he thinks, maybe not optimist, maybe idealist. I'm not sure how he, how he thinks things should work, and he doesn't want to hear any other answer, and that makes him an interesting character to watch, especially when pretty much every day, every minute, every hour, they're getting pushback from any different direction on what Toby actually wants to do in any different scenario, you know? So, like, it's very rare that Toby's like, let's do this, and then it all goes right. So it's fun to watch how he reacts to all of that.
Yeah. It would be a very, very different administration without Toby. You can't take him away.
Oh, yeah.
Probably more so than maybe anybody else, I think. I'm going to be bold and say that.
Because his character is so unique. Like, Josh is a go-getter, and Josh is charismatic. Sam is great at what he does. Speech writing, he's also an idealist, I think. Very sort of, not naive, but, I mean, we've talked about that before. And I think those qualities, as much as we love all of them, and CJ, too, as much as we love the three of them, I do think they would be more replaceable than
Yeah,
Toby
totally.
As a character, not like obviously not any of the actors or anything like that, but like
No.
you could find another, I don't know,
Chief of Staff, another press
Sam or
secretary.
John. Yeah, you could. I mean, obviously to us it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be our show that we love, but in the real world, like if this was a real world translation, Toby's character is much more unique, I think, especially in politics.
Agreed.
So,
Totally
right,
agree
well,
with
that
you,
was a
Frank.
really deep combo about Toby.
What else you got?
I think that's it on this one. Really,
I think that's all I got on this one too. It was delightful. You know, I read online that some website gave it an A-. I would probably give it a B+.
Oh, somebody else did write in an email. I wish I could
About
remember who. I'm so sorry. About at the beginning of this episode when they tell Leo, like, oh, we've got 2 minutes and 10 seconds until the thing collides or whatever. And, and Leo's like, oh, I'm going to get the president on this. And somebody wrote in and was like, I can't do anything in 3 minutes.
Yeah,
I know.
seriously.
Like immediately he's like, let's walk upstairs and get the president. And I'm like, I know. Even, like, I don't know.
I know. I was actually thinking
you're setting me up for failure.
I was thinking about that too. I was like, well, go. Like he should already be down there, Leo. It was freaking me out. Other things I liked about this episode, the word plenipotentiary.
Plenipotentiary?
Yeah, whenever he's inducting people or naming them or knighting them or whatever, he's like, by affixing my signature, I proclaim you ambassador extraordinary and plenipotentiary, which is a 7-syllable word, folks.
Oh, wow.
Welcome to the West Wing.
I have nothing.
Boom roasted.
I didn't even notice that, even with the subtitles.
Oh, it was delightful. He said it multiple times.
Update, that email was from Courtney. So, shout out to Courtney for that. Talk about...
What's up, Courtney?
If
you guys ever want to write in, you can write into us at TheWestWingPodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, we love getting emails from you guys. And we might just mention them on air.
We would love to, yeah. We're also on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. We have a new Facebook page. Woo-hoo. So if you're into that sort of thing, hit us up on there. It's all Wingin' It Pod. So Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And yeah, I feel like it's a good time. Feel free to go back and watch the drop-in. And should we pick an MVP? We didn't do that.
Oh, yeah. I picked Sam.
Oh, Sam. Yeah.
He needs it.
Well, yeah, he does need it. He deserves it. I agree. I think that's a good decision. I feel like I need to give it to Lord John Marbury just out of respect.
Yes, let's do an honorary. Yeah, definitely.
Honorary mention.
Yep.
Roger Reese.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in. We hope you have wonderful days now that you've listened to parts about the drop-in. And we'll catch you next time in... Bartlett's third State of the Union.
Yes, very excited about that one.
Oh man, cool.
Okay.
All right, see
Bye,
ya.
Guys.
Bye.
Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot. Drop it like it's hot.